I also am hoping that I will not get fired after this. Portfolio was not enough. I had to present my portfolio, right? Then you become asshole. Then you communicate poorly. You clap now, maybe you won't later. Welcome to a group session of therapy, I hope. The idea for tonight is to have fun. It's not to be super serious. I also am hoping that I will not get fired after this because my people at my work, my boss is gonna watch this. So I do have to be careful a bit. But the idea for tonight is to talk about how we are assholes. And I will be cursing, okay? So briefly, who the fuck do I think I am? Well, I'm Ivona. I have been working as a designer for a lot, since 2013 technically. I worked in a few companies in the first few years of my adulthood, let's say, as a designer, and then I started doing freelancing, did it for, I don't know, 6 years, and now I'm working full-time at a Dutch company, map creator for 2.5 years. I am a product designer, so I do UI and UX as well, and all the business needs and a bit of branding sometimes, so I do a lot of stuff. And yeah, this is a QR code. If you want to connect, you can. So why can I talk about this, basically, and talk about us as designers is, I mean, I am a designer since I was 15, technically. I went to high school for graphic design. I finished graphic design bachelor degree as well. So I know designers, okay, pretty good. So today, the idea for this is to talk about, as it says, the good, the bad, and the ugly, and to kind of take accountability where we need to, and give it when it's supposed to be on somebody else. So this is what I want to talk about today. I do invite you to share your stories if you want, if you can, because this is being recorded. So at the end of the whole presentation. And the idea is to have a little bit of fun and to maybe figure out where we have our red flags, us as a group of creatives. So let's get into it. So when people think about a designer, they think about somebody who does something pretty, make it nice. Our mothers, and my mom, thinks that I am just doing some nice drawings. It's all very romantic and pretty. But in reality, what we are kind of forgetting is that we are actually working with people. And this is something that I didn't kind of want to accept for myself until like 2 days ago. My sister and we were talking about work and life in general and basically bitching about it. And she was like, but you do work with people. I'm like, no, I don't. No, I don't. I work for people. I create stuff for somebody to use, but I don't work with people. She's like, no, actually you communicate all day with somebody and you think about others all day. So essentially you are working with people, and working with people is hard, right? Because people are crazy, including ourselves, and it can be quite a lot, and people forget about that. So when somebody comes to you as a designer and wants to work with you, they think that you are like this lady, very distinguished. It's gonna be pretty, it's gonna be easy. No, it's not. No, it's messy. Not always, obviously, but most of the time. So that's the idea for today. So let's see where we are and how we can make it better. Can we? And if it's even us, you know, sometimes it's not us, you know. So I'm going to start with the chapter number 1, which is the high standards. We have high standards, all of us. It's ridiculous how high the standards are. I personally have high standards for everybody by default as humans, which turns out, according to my therapist, is a problem. And I am kind of working on that. I am failing miserably because design is not helping. It doesn't really matter if you have a bachelor degree in design or if you don't, if you learned it in different ways. We all have high standards. And by high standards, I mean we can be arrogant, and sometimes for a good reason, because it's sometimes other people that kind of take us for a run, and they think we are not good enough or they can do it better. And we get to be arrogant a bit at sometimes, you know. And what it says here, the arrogance hides imposter syndrome. Imposter syndrome is something we all have. If you don't, good for you. I think I do for sure. Even though I have been working in design for many years, it's still there. And also I can be arrogant. And sometimes being arrogant comes from other motherfuckers trying to do your job and not trusting you that you can do it. You can do what you have been basically employed to do. So yeah, we can be arrogant. One other thing we kind of do all the time is think that something is common knowledge and it really isn't. Like, for example, when somebody employs you and they're opening a shop, you know, they don't know anything about design. All of a sudden they need a logo, they need flyers, they need whatever, and they come to you and you think that they know what you do and how you're gonna do it and the whole process of what you do and what you're gonna give them. Like, is it gonna be like it says here, a PDF, an SVG, and what the heck is an SVG and what do they do with it? And we sometimes forget that people come to us sometimes with no knowledge, and they might not know even how to use a computer. You know, sometimes we do work with these kind of clients. You can choose your clients, but sometimes it does happen, and even if somebody is very educated, they might not know how you work, how we work, what is our process. So yeah, this is one of the things that we are kind of sometimes messing up, and it gets us frustrated, right? Because they don't know. And we have to educate our clients and people we work with all the time. It's annoying, but it's a part of the job for sure. And this is something we should not let slide through our super high standards. Another thing is the portfolio, and I have a short story to share. Basically, when I got into freelancing, I went to TopTal, and in 2016, TopTal was accepting designers. Now they don't anymore. TopTal is a freelancing network. It's kind of huge. They were kind of marketed for like top talent, top 3%, which is, I don't think, true. But in any case, they don't work like that anymore. In 2016 and later, it was quite hard to get in. They had a lot of tests, and I got in. But the way I did is, okay, I had a portfolio, I gave it to them. This was the process. I'm gonna describe the process shortly. But I gave them the portfolio, they looked at it, but the thing is, portfolio was not enough. I had to present my portfolio, right? And this is the part we forget. And this is a part of today's kind of talk, and the whole ambience of it is the communication that we sometimes miss, and which is why it kind of brings us to being an asshole in the end. So the reason why I got into TopTal was because I knew how to sell my work. We also had an assignment, and I kind of cheated here. I can say that now because nobody cares anymore. They gave us an assignment, which is to do a redesign of a website. And I was kind of smart at the time. I was working in a studio, and I just took the design that I did for work and I sent it to them. And I had the whole thing. I didn't spend a lot of time. I just kind of spruced it up a bit and just sent it. So it was easy for me to get in because I kind of cheated. But then again, did I really? This was my work, and I got to present it to the person that was interviewing me. And yeah, it worked out fine. Why? Because I knew how to sell. That's basically what we are forgetting, especially with the portfolio. We think about how our work is gonna talk for us. It's gonna represent us. Yeah, no, it represents what we did, maybe in a team also, but it doesn't represent us. And sometimes I feel that we forget about this, especially because people want to see who you are and how you are gonna add to their company, to their story, to their project, whatever, not how well your buttons look or whatever you do. So this is 30% is just a number. I have no idea. This is not statistical at all. I also have experience with this a little bit. I was hired by an American company 2-3 years ago. We had a project that was a 6 months long project, very serious stuff. And I say serious stuff because the project was for a medical company that was pretty important. It was very touchy, and there was a lot of information that could not get out. Like, I even didn't have the real information about the users. It was very, very PG, like hidden behind federal laws of American stuff. It was very serious. The thing that was interesting was that I was hired to do the redesign of the whole thing. And I was doing this for 6 months, but while I was doing it, the people that hired me, they were boomers. I mean, boomers are sometimes hard to work with for us millennials because we are kind of a little bit different. And I say that politely. But the problem was, the whole time I was pushing them to change because they hired me to push them to change. They did not like me at all, which was a paradox, kind of, because this is why you hired me. You hired me to do the redesign of your whole system, and now I am poking you in your brains basically just because I'm doing what needs to be done. So then you become asshole. Then you communicate poorly. Then you're annoyed, right? Then you hate them. Then it's all of a sudden you are the problem. And yeah, being a designer is a very good way to annoy people, especially if they don't like what you do and they have no reasons why they don't like it. I mean, how many of you have been working in a design agency where there is literally one employee? Us. I have been graphic designer, I have been a product designer, I have been a senior designer, I have been a creative director, I have been a creative lead. I did not lead anyone, I led myself. I don't know, what else was it? In any case, we all lie. Sometimes we lie to get clients. Sometimes we lie because somebody else told us to lie. Like if you work in a company and you're the only designer and you have been working there for a long time, being just a product designer, how very boring. So sometimes you get to be a creative director for yourself. So let's talk about all the ways that we kind of lie. Sometimes I do see this in designers. We forget that we work with people once again. And we think that we are these omnipresent humans that know everything about design, everything about beauty, everything about how things should be, how things should go, what they should look like. But then we forget that we have a whole team behind us. We have, especially if you're doing product design, you have developers. And then they come in, and then they mess everything up, and they tell you, no, this cannot be there because it will take me 30 hours to do it. And you're like, oh, God damn it. And we get annoyed. And then communication gets worse, right? Yeah, so we need to figure out how not to lose our heads and, yeah, not make them insecure about us. What I mean by insecure by us is basically they don't know our next move, and we become enemies for no reason at all, which, yeah, so far this sounds like I'm blaming us a lot, but yeah. But then we have clients like this that give you, like this guy here says, we could have had something beautiful, but you gave me such a limited amount of time, too many informations. You did not want the beauty. You wanted a job to be done ASAP. And when this happens, I mean, you just give up, I guess. You have a few choices. You can say no to a job. Sometimes you need money, so you can't. You can basically do what you're told and probably lose a piece of your soul in the process. Or, I mean, you cannot care. You can just move on, do the thing and move on, which I am not in that group of people. And if somebody is, please teach me how to be there. Yeah, and sometimes we do this. We make a design ugly on purpose. I don't know if people know this. Probably everybody in this room does. So if you have somebody that wants a logo, and you make 2 logos because they requested a specific thing, and you don't like it, and you create a logo that you like. So we have 3 options, right? We have a logo that I like, we have a logo that they want, and I have a logo that's very ugly because I want to push them in the right direction, right? How many times did they choose the most ugliest? How many times? All the fucking time, yeah. Although, I can say that it happened to me once, maybe twice, that they said, oh, this is very ugly, we're not gonna go with this one. And I was like, yes, yes, I know it is ugly. So we do a little bit of trickster moves to get the people in the right direction, right? In our design agency where we are creative leading. And this might be one of my favorite topics. The fake timesheet. And I showed this presentation to my friend when I was making it because I have imposter syndrome and I was afraid how the hell are you going to react, and you're very serious. So, and I sent this to him and he's like, but fake, do you want to say wasted time? I said, no, because I wasted no time. What I did do is lie about the amount of time that I spent on a project. So if I did work for 2 hours, I will write you a check for 4. And why do we do this? Have you ever done this? It's a safe space. Yeah, you have. If you have enough years designing behind you, you have probably done this. And why do we do it? Well, multiple reasons. Sometimes we did not set the rate right. We fucked up, okay? Sometimes we did not have the full scope of the project, and we didn't know, and it was too late when we figured out what to do. Or sometimes you are not being respected enough, and therefore you are given, like this guy here says, if you work fast, you're given more work back, which business-wise is not good for the business, right? So if you look at it from the business perspective, I'm not making more money if I'm fast. And after like, I don't know how many, 13 years of experience, you can be pretty fast, right? But then again, if you're still charging by the hour or even something similar, you're not gonna get a reward for being fast at all, which makes no sense. But this is the world we are living in now. You can do a couple of things. Change your rate, change the agreement, change the client, the job. But if you can't, sometimes you cheat. And in reality, who's taking advantage of whom here? If people that you work with don't realize the worth that you're giving, what they're gonna make from your designs and what's the value of your work, then I mean, we have a lot of issues there. And yeah, us as designers, like I said, we sometimes wanna be left alone and do our work as we please. But we kind of have to work with other people, especially in product design. So PMs, developers, CEOs, you name it, depends how big your team is, other designers as well. So we are sometimes annoyed with other people. And some of the people are the clients we come across. And I am pretty sure that you have come across in your life with, you have seen this client, they come to you and they say, I have a design, I just needed to make it look pretty. Make it better. Here, I have everything. Now you do your magic and you give it to me back, which I never understood. Why do you need me? You have it. What am I doing here? Why? And I think that these clients can be pretty bad, and I hate them. And working with them is very, very hard, and it's very easy to be an asshole around them. And this is an interesting one because who does not take feedback personally sometimes? It's very hard, and I've been working on this for years. to not care about feedback. Meaning like, okay, fine, I can take feedback and apply it if it makes sense, but what if it doesn't, right? What if you disagree? What if you fundamentally disagree? Or this happens, like you actually fucked up, so what do you do, you know? And I've come across different situations where I was to blame, where other people's were to blame, and this is what makes our job so freaking difficult, is the fact that you have to communicate, and sometimes you just have to own up, even though it's not your fault. But sometimes we just gaslight. We become assholes, right? And I think it's pretty normal to take things personally. Also, it's very hard not to, and we should, I guess, all aim for it because it saves us trouble with ourselves. But yeah, I also personally think that I don't take things personally enough. So, yeah. And maybe my favorite one, developers. So developers, this is an old story. Developers hate designers, designers hate developers. I hated this whole idea for years. I don't know anymore. I think there is something to it. The reason why we have like a fight is basically because us designers, sometimes we don't give a shit if whether something can be made. We just want it because it's nice and it looks nice, like this here. Yeah, that looks amazing, right? Cannot be developed. I think the person will basically kill you, or the CEO is not gonna pay for it, development of this, which is gonna be bazillion hours or whatnot. We don't know this. We are not developers, and I don't care, frankly. But sometimes you do have to care. That's the thing. That's the thing with product design. You have to know a little bit of development to get your designs to live, you know? But sometimes I do think that developers just don't want to work. Therefore, we have to work more. You know, I do think that this is possible to make, but it's gonna take bazillion hours. That's it. And sometimes people just don't want to do it. They would say, no, it's not possible. It's not possible because they just don't want to work. And vice versa. You know, sometimes it happens the other way around. But we have a developer here. Maybe he can just help us a bit later. Yeah. When it comes to this, like the developers not wanting to do something because it's too much work, sometimes this happens. We do this stuff too, you know? Have you ever, I mean, you cheat a bit to stay on the job sometimes. You prolong things. You say, oh, something's gonna take me 3 days. It took you 2 hours. Took you 2 hours, you said 3 days. Is it really stealing from somebody? No, I don't think so. The value is still there. You're still providing a service. Especially if you have somebody managing you, somebody looking over your shoulder for everything for no reason because they want control and they don't trust you. Now, all of the slides and stuff I've said before this could be the reason why they don't trust you and they're micromanaging you, or they could be an asshole. There are plenty of asshole managers there, so sometimes you have to play the game. Or you leave, right? I'm just gonna look at Stefan to mess with him. But yeah, sometimes you play the toxic game and do stuff like this. And I have 4 stories for you. And I don't know how fast I am running. I'm fine, okay. I have 4 stories for you. One of them is not mine, just to spruce it up a bit. And this is the experience that I had in my career. And this one is called The Lion. So I had a client, I was doing freelance at the time, I think graphic design or whatever came, you know. I had a client, it was a guy that contacted me on Facebook, I think. He, at that time, is starting his business as a personal trainer. And he wants a logo, right? Easy. But he wants, okay. And he's a very specific guy. He still works, by the way. He is kind of a Instagram celebrity now, but he wants to have a lion in his logo, a phoenix bird, and he wants it to be in green and like neon green. I'm like, okay, how the fuck? I looked for it, I have it, but I didn't want to show it to you because it's very ugly. So I made a lion head with kind of like a phoenix something, wings underneath the lion, and it was very green. And I tried like with the idea of like I show you something nice and then I show you this and then I show you something very, very bad. So no, he did not like anything. And I made like 15 versions of the thing with him. And I'm like, dude, this doesn't work. Like, please give up on this idea. You cannot have a phoenix bird and a lion. No, he did not want to do it. And then he decided that he doesn't want to work with me anymore and that he does not want to pay me. And I was like, dude, you have to pay me. Like, I spent a lot of time and effort on this. What the fuck? And then he told me that I was a bitch that wanted to steal from people and how dare I want his money and I wanted to trick him and all of that. And I just gave up, you know, because I'm clearly working with an asshole here. I just, whatever, and I had just asked him, dude, don't use my logo, please, 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 please don't use it. Because if you use this, it's very bad, please don't use it. He didn't, luckily. But yeah, this is one of those crazy client stories. It was very bad. I did try to look for the messages, but it was so filled with curse words in Serbian. And this story would make such more sense in Serbian because I could actually tell you what he told me. But it's pretty bad. Maybe it's better that I don't. And another story was from the company that I did mention already. The boomers. So we had a meeting and we were talking for hours. We had meetings every day for hours. We did a lot of UX talks. That part was pretty good and the meetings were kind of necessary. They like to do meetings because they're boomers, right? And it was fine. It was all a part of the job. But at some point I used the wrong word, like one word. I don't remember what it was. It was like a term and I made a mistake. And the guy that I was talking to was a lawyer in his previous life, and he got annoyed at the word. And he was like, that's not the term. And I'm like, well, okay, well, English is not my native language, so let me rephrase that. Let's move on. And he got very annoyed and he hung up. So he just left the meeting. He left the room. And I was like, where is this guy? What happened? And I was like, whatever. We finished the meeting and then I get an email where he said something in English. I don't remember what it was because I blocked it out. But there was a sentence in English and then he added, here, I translated this for you. And then there was a Serbian translation, Google translation, by the way, not good. But there was Google translated sentence to Serbian. And I'm like, okay. Unable to locate the funny, indeed. So that's one of the very gruesome projects that I had. Amazing project, amazing product. Communication, awful, bad. Nothing to do there, basically. When you're humiliated like that, you cannot do much. I could not wait for that project to be done, and I just left. This story is by my friend, and he sent it to me through text. Which one is mine? Where's my phone? I can read it to you. Hold on. So, he says, I was newly team lead working for a consultancy doing work with a local bank and got the treasury module. The guy from the bank that manages this before had quit and sent me a detailed email with instructions for dealing with the head of treasury. It went like this. Blank email. He wants the report from the day. Single dot in an email. He wants the reports reprocessed. thanks in the email. He wants the reconciliation process. The notes also said to reply quickly because it did not, if you didn't reply within 5 minutes, he would email your boss and their boss and all the hierarchy complaining about bad service and how his time has been wasted. I mean, to be such an asshole. I mean, after going to meet him face to face, where he didn't even say hi because he was too busy, I decided to play dumb with the emails. Next morning, I got the blank email and replied immediately, "I'm sorry, I think you sent a blank email by mistake. How can I help you?" I got a blank email in response. I replied about the same. He emailed all the bosses about his time being wasted, and I got scheduled for a meeting to review work efficiency. I came with prints of his daily blank email and said that we couldn't work without precise instructions and made a big noise about how we couldn't assume intent and it was dangerous to leave things to interpretation of the support team, etc. The whole political fight took 3 weeks until a director got involved and said that if he has time to write a long email complaining, he has time to ask for what he wants. So this is one way to deal with it. This guy, my friend, he's amazing. He knows how to deal with assholes without being one. So maybe this is like a learning curve for us, which is why I read it, because he also kind of put it very nicely. Yeah, sometimes you need the receipts for everything. You write it down and you give it to somebody who can do something about it. Sometimes there is nothing to be done there. You can't. So like this guy here taking photos. And this one was from COVID times. Also a client of mine, I loved this project. It was some kind of wireframing for an educational app. And I have been working with this guy, American guy, I think, if I remember correctly. So in the beginning of 2020, and we worked for a couple of months. We talked to each other every other day. We had meetings. I've never seen him, never camera on. And then COVID happened and he disappeared. He paid for everything, by the way. It was through TopTal and he paid for everything, so I was fine, but he disappeared and it was COVID times. And I was like, fuck, did this guy die? Did he die? And I sent him an email and I was like, hi, how are you doing? How is everything? Are you alive? Like, COVID is wild, yeah? And I got nothing. And I was like, oh, fuck, this guy died. I mean, whatever, he paid me. Moving on. And then like a year and a half later, there's a post on LinkedIn. This guy, something, I have no idea what. And I'm like, oh, well, okay, you're alive. At least you're an asshole for not replying and giving up like that, but you're alive. So sometimes they die on you. Yeah. And that's all for now. And if you want to share your stories, now is your moment. If you have questions, I don't know if I have answers, but we can try. In any case, shoot.